This video is an excerpt from a much longer France travel talk by Steve Smith. To view other topics or to watch Steve's France talk in its entirety, visit ricksteves.com or check out my Rick Steves YouTube channel. Enjoy.
France is a place of gentle beauty, where the play of light can turn the routine into the exceptional. My name's Steve Smith, and for 25 years, I've been introducing Rick to my favorite French people and teaching him the art of French living, while he taught me the science of guidebook writing. Together, we've produced a variety of books, maps, phrase books, and travel tips to help you negotiate this marvelous country. France is filled with iconic sights and mesmerizing views. My job today is to help you sort through many of those so that you can organize your trip to be the best experience possible for you on your trip, hopefully in 2015 or 2016. Let's get oriented first. France is central in Europe, in Western Europe. You'll notice it just between Spain, with the Atlantic to its west, the Mediterranean to the south, and Germany, Austria, Switzerland to its east. It doesn't suffer from the extreme heat of the south, nor cold of the north. So it's a mild climate. Things grow well there. Food, wine, think that. It's about 700 miles across, from east to west and north to south. Were it a square, it would take about 11 hours to go top to bottom or left to right. What's astonishing about this country is the variety of scenery that is packed within a country 80% the size of the state of Texas. This country offers, from its northern monumental city of Paris to the capital of the Riviera, Nice, in the south, pastoral landscapes like this in Normandy, to rock-sculpted villages of Provence hanging from cliff edges. Two distinctly different coastlines dominate the coastal region in France, from the rugged Atlantic to the west, to the balmy, warm seas of the Mediterranean to the south. Wouldn't Central European countries love at least one coastline? France is blessed with two distinctly different ones. And if it's the highest peaks in Europe that you must scale, you got to go to France. Europe's highest peaks are in the Alps, 15,700 foot. Mont Blanc is resting there between Switzerland and France for you to visit. The Alps are just one of the main mountain ranges in France. There are two others. The Pyrenees form the mountain range to the southwestern corner of the country, guarding the border to Spain and Portugal. And the Massif Central mountain range harbors great canyons to the southeastern part of France, surprising many Americans as the destination for European outdoor lovers and thrill seekers. Kayakers, whitewater rafters, rock climbers love southern France for that reason. France has a variety of each culture traveling between the various regions in France. You'll experience different cultures and cuisines, as well as different scenery. For one day, you could be here in the northeastern corner of France, quaffing liters of beer next to these Germanic fellows, hearing a language that sounds very German, and eating sauerkraut, smothered in ham and potatoes and sausage in the Alsace. In the northwestern corner of the country, the next day, maybe 10 hours away by car, an hour flight away, you'd encounter lads like this, who look more Irish than French. And they are, because this is Brittany, whose history and roots carry that history with them. And here, in this region of Brittany, their sauerkraut is crepes and galette for dinner every night. I imagine that most of these kids have never even seen sauerkraut in their life. Such is the cuisine so regional in France. To the southwestern corner, where the locals look muy Spanish, and paella is on most menus, and the siesta is still respected. To the southeastern corner, where France has inherited its Italian heritage of the what me worry, what's the hurry, devil may care, Italian sort of love of life attitude. And you'll see this in the Riviera and the regions that border Italy, and you'll find fresh pasta in most shops and windows and in restaurants in this corner. Traveling through France, then, is like experiencing a variety of different countries in Europe within this small country, again, smaller than the state of Texas. But France is more than just a beautiful place. to eat well and drink well. For in many ways, the rich heritage of this country's history is a yardstick of human achievement. For here you can trace the whole of Western civilization, from mesmerizing cave art, 20,000 years old, to Roman ruins that rival anything that Italy has to offer, to feudal fortresses that rival anything that the rest of the European countries have to offer, like here at Carcassonne. All of this in the country of France. In the Middle Ages, France gave birth to Gothic architecture, stretching this technique of designing a church to stretch its ceilings taller and filling their windows with radiant windows of stained glass. In the 15 and 1600s, engineers and architects designed palaces by the hundreds like this, announcing France's emergence as Europe's first superpower and richest country by far, becoming the envy of kings and queens throughout Europe, where palaces like this at Vaux-le-Vicomte and certainly Versailles, just outside the city of Paris. In the 1800s, France gave birth to Impressionist art and the foundation of modern art and the way we think abstractly today, born on the roots of French soil. You can trace the origins to, on your trip to France, all of this history staying within this one country and maintaining that foundation. France today insists on remaining capital of art today, designing homes for contemporary artists throughout the country and performing art as well, like the Pompidou Center here in Paris. For many people, this combination, I want to say, of rich history, glorious scenery, great food and wine, right? Sounds pretty tempting. And they would have been long ago, many times, were it not for the French. Waiters like this can seem intimidating until you understand how the system works. Understand that this waiter's tip is included in the bill. You do not tip at French restaurants, maybe just a little bit if the person was nice to you, but you don't tip. His tip's already included in the bill, so he's not working for a tip. He's paid to be fast and efficient. If you understand how the system works and you slow down, you'll have the waiter eating out of your hand by understanding the system and working with that waiter. Slow down. That's the first rule of travel in France to me. Slow your itinerary down. See fewer regions, more time in fewer regions. For France rewards the traveler who slows down. Take time to sample the goat cheese from Jerry Garcia's farm. If you're moving too fast, you won't even see that he's handing you that lovely piece of goat cheese. Connect with the locals. I offer opportunities throughout the book in France to make these connections. Go on a wine tour with Michel in southern France. Take a cooking class anywhere throughout the country. Connect with the locals, with these fluent English-speaking people, and understand what matters to them about culture and their country. And your trip will have an added dimension and become much richer for it. Traveling in France, getting around the country, is really about as good as it gets. France is home to Europe's state-of-the-art bullet train system, connecting all the major cities at 200 miles an hour, whisking you from left to right to up to down. And remember, the country is only 700 miles across anyway. You can cover a lot of territory thanks to this technology. That's the good news. The bad news is you have to reserve these high-speed trains in France and frankly anywhere in Europe. It's about $10 for a reservation. That's no problem. But if you're traveling with a rail pass, which is generally a good value for Americans, it's heavily subsidized by the French government. The problem is that they limit the number of seats for pass holders on these TGVs, which means you just have to be on the ball. Book your train well ahead if you're traveling with the rail pass, otherwise you don't have to worry about it that much, or separate your rail pass from TGV trains and buy those trips when you're in France. Local trains take over where the bullet trains leave off, getting you to smaller towns and mid-sized towns, and this will be most of the train riding you'll do if you're traveling by train in France. And minivans and regional buses take off where those trains leave you, allowing you to explore this marvelously, largely rural country, whether you're driving or not. These minivan tours that I'm showing you an example of here in the Alsace region are an opportunity, even if you're driving, to spend a day with a local, with running commentary as you go, join other people and pile into his minivan. It's anywhere from $40 to $80 a day for this kind of service, you see. And if you don't have a car, it's essential to seeing the small villages, caves in the Dordogne region, or the D-Day beaches, for example. France seems to me like it was made for driving, right? The country after Paris, between Paris and Nice, is largely, the highlights of this country are rural in nature. You'll end up on a lot of small roads just like this. Well, maybe not quite this small. But the beauty of driving in France is they drive on the same side of the road that we do, obey largely the same traffic rules that we do, and so much of the country is rural compared to Italy or Spain, for example, where cities dominate your sightseeing menu. In France, it's going to be castles, vineyards, hill towns, and the like, making the advantage of a car terrific. I think a great way to go when traveling to France is to mix high-speed train travel with car rental. A lot of people like to do that. Why drive the 8 hours from Paris to Provence? Take the 2-hour bullet train, then rent a car from there. You see, unless you have things you want to see on the way. There are a couple of key signs I want to remind you of today before you embark on your driving in France, and this is the most important one. This sign is found throughout small roads and highways in France, everywhere. It warns you that there is a radar coming, a camera box, that the speed limit is 50 miles, and if you're going faster than that in 130 meters where the camera is, you'll get a ticket. And you ask yourself, how could anybody screw that up? You won't believe how often they happen, how easy that is to do. And if you're even going just 52 kilometers, 2 kilometers over the speed limit, that's like 1.5 miles, you'll still get a ticket. And the biggest part of the ticket is the ticket itself, not the mileage above and beyond the speed limit. Pay attention to those radar signs. And buying gas is not as easy as it appears. Nobody's left. Understand, I had this summer at our house in Burgundy, where I hang my beret in research season, friends came to visit and rented a car and put the wrong gas in their diesel car. That's not covered by insurance, we found out. So, seriously, understand that Gazole is diesel. It comes in, it's always black or yellow on the fuel handles. Regular are the other red and green handles that you see. Diesel gas is far cheaper in France, 20 to 25% cheaper than regular gasoline. Most manual transmissions come with it. It's a good deal, and the mileage is better. You want a diesel car if you can drive a manual transmission. If you insist on an automatic car, probably it's going to use regular gasoline. Not the end of the world. The distances just aren't that great in France. Even though they pay more than twice per gallon what we do, their cars typically get twice the mileage. And again, the distance isn't that great. That's what I've realized in years of researching by car, pardon me. The problem of buying gas after hours is an example of the headache of traveling with credit cards today in France for some Americans. Credit cards work brilliantly at restaurants, hotels, shops. As long as there's a person in front of you, it's just like here. But if you want to use ticket machines, pay toll booths, because the toll roads in France aren't manned anymore. Or you might want to buy a train ticket from a ticket machine. Or gas after hours. Good luck unless you have a chip on your credit card and a 4-digit PIN associated with that. And even if you have that as an American, don't count on it working everywhere. I don't understand why that's the case, but all of the researchers at Rick Steves have had that experience. So you're best to get that credit card, because it will work much of the time, but also always have cash on hand to pay that toll road when you leave the freeway, or to buy gas when you need it and you're almost out, right? All right. Okay. Sleeping in France. Sleeping is around France, accommodations are a remarkable range at reasonable prices. The mainstay are hotels. They're starred from 1 to 5 stars. The hotels that we recommend and focus on in our guidebook are 2- and 3-star hotels. This is a 2-star hotel in front of you. In Honfleur, downtown Honfleur, we look for centrally located places, reasonably priced, family-run, whenever possible. 2-star hotels are simple, comfortable places, always private bathrooms, right? $80 to $100 outside the city of Paris buys a 2-star hotel on the average throughout the country of France. If you want a little bit more character and sometimes more comfort, 3-star hotels, say $150 a night for a double room. It varies more in Paris. Buys you that much more comfort sometimes. I want to warn you, 3-star hotels, I list many 2-star hotels that are better than 3-star hotels. Trust the write-up in the guidebook. Use a guidebook, use resources before you go. And even if you're finding your accommodations on your own through other sources, use our books to know what you should be paying. We update these books every year. These prices should be accurate. That gives you a good handle on appropriate price to pay. Okay? The interior. Three-star hotels, cozier sometimes on the rooms as well. 4-star hotels are worth paying for, I think, when you get to sleep in a 750-year-old castle like this. But not just because you need 4 stars. Trust me, 3 stars provides more than sufficient comfort for anybody in this room. And if you want to wake up feeling like a king in the morning, this is worth paying for. Mix your accommodations up. Stay in 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star hotels. It's really, you don't insist on a certain level of comfort, and your budget will be pleased for that, and so will your experience. Bed and breakfasts are marvelous options in France, and there are like 15,000 of them throughout the country. They're mostly in rural areas, so you need a car to get to them. $80 to $100 for a double, for most of these bed and breakfasts that I list. We'll buy you a room and breakfast. This is a big deal, because hotels in France do not include breakfast as a part of their room price. You'll save, because bed and breakfast include breakfast, $25 to $30 on the average for a couple per day for breakfast by staying in bed and breakfasts. Good value. Apartment rental and home rental. This is the rage, certainly in Paris today. Everybody wants to rent an apartment, and everybody wants to rent you an apartment. Apartment rental is relatively easy to do, whether you go directly to the owner or, the way I prefer, using an organization who inspects these places, and I write them up in my guidebook in our guidebook on Paris to help you sift through the pros and cons. I can't know all of these apartments because they change all of the time, unlike a hotel where it stays where it is and there's 50 rooms, 30 rooms. I can inspect that. I can't do that for apartments. So you're left to your own devices, or the website reviews, client reviews, to make that decision. Apartment rental won't save you any money in Paris, certainly, compared to a nice, comfortable hotel. You'll get more space, a nice living room, and a kitchen. That's the big deal. You can cook, you can save some money on meals, certainly breakfast by having your own cereal and milk in the morning, or the advantage, I think, is you get to shop like a local and pretend that you're a local and bring stuff back to your kitchen and have to function that way and cook maybe a few times. But it'd be a shame not to eat in restaurants in France for cooking in your kitchen every night. Home rental throughout France is a great value, I think, compared to apartment rental. They're called Gîtes, G-I-T-E-S, and their home rental is generally Saturday to Friday nights, weekly only. And it's a good value. Homes like this that you're seeing here in the countryside are available throughout the country, but again, it's weekly only. Here you'll spend about $1,500 on the average in relatively high season for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom place. So if there's 3 couples traveling together, that's $500 per week per couple. Good value, plus you get kitchen and a lot of space to relax in. Eating in France. France should be sightseeing for your taste buds. That's the reason you came. This is not a place to skimp on your sightseeing budget. And bakeries like this should be a daily stop on anybody's itinerary. If you're staying at hotels and breakfast isn't included, bakeries in cities often offer breakfast deals for a fraction of the price. You're sure it's a lot less than what you get at your hotel, but a lot of times you only have the choice of $15 for the buffet breakfast at a hotel, and that's too much for you. Go to the neighborhood bakery or certainly to a cafe to order your breakfast and save lots of money. And breakfast, break your croissant with locals. Lunches, the bakeries like this offer fresh sandwiches. If you look closely, you'll see them there, and treats throughout the day. The fresh sandwiches for $5 a piece make a great cheap on-the-go lunch for many people. Cafes are the most flexible way to eat out in France. They're open late, their hours are generally longer than restaurants, and they're more flexible menus for you to order from. In a cafe, perfect for bringing families and kids, you can order just snails if that's all you want, or a salad, or a bowl of French onion soup. Whereas at a restaurant or a bistro, you must order at least a main course. You can split the first course or a dessert, that's no problem, but everybody must order a main course. This is the kind of place that I look for naturally throughout the country. Places where the chalkboard menu is brought to you by a waiter who's smiling. There are 2 ways of ordering food at a French restaurant. Understand this. The object that he is showing you in French is called the carte. Ordering from la carte means off the menu. To us, it's a menu. If you order a menu in France, you've already ordered dinner. That's a fixed price, 2, 3, or 4 course sequence of items for a set price that you've ordered. And that's a great deal if you want that much food. Today in France, this never used to exist. Most restaurants specialize in 2-course menus for about $25, tax and tip included. That's a good deal. You typically, and this is very common throughout almost all the restaurants, you can order a 3-course, appetizer, main course, dessert. For 2 courses, and that would be about, say, $30. I'm close. For 2 courses, for maybe $25, you get a choice of entree, first course, and main course, or main course and dessert. When my wife and I travel together, she does main course and dessert. I do first course and main course, and we split the first and the third courses. You see, and the best deal going, I think, today are plats du jour in France. Most cafes and restaurants offer this, about $20. Tax and tip included, that's your dinner. Beautiful plates, garnished. That's what a plat du jour is. It's not part of a menu, it's just plat du jour. And often, it's better than the average item on the menu. Every so often, much like hotels, allow yourself to splurge a little bit in a French restaurant scene and enjoy the ambiance of this kind of restaurant. I list places that, mostly thanks to my wife, who's a culinary expert, that she thinks are worth that kind of money. This is 48 euros, by the way, for a 4-course dinner at a place like this. And you have to be willing to go with the chef's daring concoctions. Sometimes I don't recognize what I'm eating, but that's okay. That's part of the deal, isn't it, though? So mix it up with restaurants also. Cafes, bistros, or restaurants, and elegant restaurants are a nice way to go. Every so often do a picnic dinner. I think that's a great way to go as well. And if you're traveling in the summertime, France is replete with vistas and benches to have picnic dinners on. Many people are perfect, love doing all of this. They're perfect do-it-yourselfers. They love to be their own guides. And all of this organization makes total sense to them, and they love to take it on. Others are a little bit overwhelmed by the task. My friend Rick here, lying on the floor of the Louvre Museum, right? For them, going on a tour, sharing their experience, but not the headaches of hotels and how am I going to get from point A to point B, makes more sense. And we offer tours at Rick Steves. We offer tours for people who want to travel in this style, staying in the kind of hotels I've just described to you, and sharing their experience. It's 25 people on the average on a tour that we offer in a 48-passenger bus. Traveling from region to region with a Rick Steves trained guide, matched with a local expert everywhere. Together, their teaching brings you great learning, and that is the hallmark of our tours. The core to our tours then is teaching and your learning, group time, and free time. You can learn by experiencing these great works of art on your own as well, can't you? So leaving you free time to explore on your own, whether it's the art of living in café au lait, or art, as I showed you before. We occupy about half of your time on our tours. The other half you're free to use our guidebooks and explore on your own. Our guide, we also use group time to take advantage of France's cuisine, doing potluck picnics whenever we can. And we offer options in the afternoon if you want to join us for a special wine tasting with translation that would be impossible unless you spoke French to do on your own. These are the advantages of group travel, I think. We offer 4 primary itineraries to enjoy the country of France. We have a week in Paris tour that runs basically year-round. People love the week in Paris. You only unpack once. We stay in a cozy hotel in a great neighborhood. Or my favorite tour, or the best if you've never been before, Paris in the heart of France, 11 days, featuring Burgundy, a corner of Burgundy, the Loire Valley, Mont Saint-Michel, the Didet beaches in Normandy, Claude Monet's gardens at Giverny, and 4 nights in Paris as well. Our Western France tour is 13 days, starting outside of Paris in Chartres, running through the Loire Valley, the Dordogne, Languedoc, and Provence, ending in the French Riviera. Our Eastern France tour highlights the east, starting in the Champagne district, going through the Alsace, Burgundy, the French Alps, Provence, and ending in Marseille. The average price of a tour is about $300 a day, and it includes everything but a few meals. Your sightseeing is included. We don't allow tips to the driver or the guides. That's nice. That's knowing what everything's included. There are no surprises, and that's critical to Rick. All of the information about getting ready to go to France that I have just explained to you is included in our France guidebook, and much more. We even give you a diagram of a roundabout if you're driving to show you how to maneuver those in your car, and much more detail on how to get from point A to point B.
If you've enjoyed this video, you'll find lots more at ricksteves.com and on my Rick Steves YouTube channel. Happy travels, and thanks for joining us.